Welcome to our first The Panel, where we debate all hot topics of football, getting away from the madness that's going on outside day to day. So it's just nice to get everyone here. So on the panel, which we'll tell you in a sec, but as you can probably see on the screen there, a couple of things for those who haven't been on one of these before. Everyone be mute apart from the panel, so the 5 or 6 people on the panel. But there's obviously really interactive, so get on the chat. And then we might ask to unmute yourself if you've got a question, etc. Just introduce the panel. You know Mark Rivers. Wave, Mark. Here he is. He's at Wembley at the moment. Mark's captain coach developer. Mitch is here, but having issues with his microphone. Are you there, Mitch? Still having issues with the microphone. Elliot will be here any second. Got Jay Lovejoy as grassroots coach. And Emerson Boyce, who we all know, been on the webinar recently, podcast coming out 2 weeks' time, Emerson.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Obviously, FA Cup winning captain, so you know Wembley quite well, probably more better than Rivo does. Tonight we're here to look at Messi versus Ronaldo, and just to talk about them as players firstly, and then we'll try and come up with an answer of who's the best, which is going to be interesting. So over the next just under an hour, we'll do that. Looking at Messi first. So there's some stats. I'll just leave it up there for a few moments. That is, I'll go to Mr. Rivers first. You wouldn't mind those stats, Rivo, would you?
Yeah, very good stats. Yeah, it's interesting. His sort of path, really, isn't it? Coming from sort of youth football and going straight to Barcelona as a youngster, but you know, just a serial winner. Obviously, the only thing that is missing from that is the World Cup, but you know, a fantastic achievement, and the goals that he scores as well is incredible.
Yeah. No, totally. Sorry, just to interrupt. Can I just ask Liam just to mute yourself, mate, if you get a moment, just interference. Hello, Elliot.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks.
Hi, Elliot.
Mate.
How you doing, mate?
Hi. I tried to join through my iPad, and it was saying someone is going to let you in soon. So I've had to do it from my phone.
That's
I
interesting.
don't know why it's saying that.
Apologies for that. Mitch, you there now, mate? Hopefully he'll be here by 9, but that's good. I think he probably can hear us. He can hear us, which is great. Emerson, did you ever come against Messi?
No, I'm lucky enough not to. You know, Ende is a fantastic player. I would love to have played against him, just to experience it, to be on the same pitch as him, just to see how good he actually is moving and his sharpness and his dribbling ability. But you know, I was unfortunate enough not to play against him, but watched him many times on TV.
Yeah, he's incredible. Jay, you've got a left foot. Nothing like his though.
No.
Is he? You're similar of age. Was it when you were growing up? Was he a role model for you?
No.
Really?
Yeah, no, genuinely, you weren't.
Is that because you're more of a more of a solid player defender?
Yeah, it was just he was always. Don't get me wrong, he's obviously a great player, but I think I'm a little bit older, so I was looking at more your David Beckhams, your John Terrys, your Omris and stuff earlier on. Just
a few years too early for too late.
Yeah.
For you, so.
Yeah.
But the 4 Champions League winning medals is just incredible. What now is just a very quick 3 or 4 minute video just to remind ourselves of how good Mr. Messi is. Oh, sorry. Don't know what's happened. There you go.
Messi glides away from Aspilicueta. Oh, he's gone through the legs again. Messi Messi's 100th goal, and it may well be the dagger in Chelsea's heart.
Here he is again. Here he is again. That's astonishing. It's absolutely world class.
He gets a hug from his teammate.
I mean, getting there is fantastic, but doing what he did to round it off, incredible.
To do that, I mean, he puts Boateng in a terrible place on his backside. It's a deep Manuel Neuer who's turned it on.
It's Messi. He's scored against an English club now. It's Manchester United. Crucial time with 20 minutes to go.
Probably Primera Division. Something to be admired, I have to say. Well, there's three of them running. He's still going. Look at this, Kevin. It's a brilliant run from Messi. Can he go all the way? It's one of the great Copa del Rey final goals from the magical, mercurial Lionel Messi. From the Camp Nou. One more time. Oh, Kevin, I said they need at least 2 players at the bottom to receive that. He beat all 3 of them. Then he beat another one.
Oh. There you go.
The near post. Messi is amazing. The amazing Messi has just scored one of the best goals you ever cup final. Absolutely.
Here's the boss. Here's Messi. Away from 2, 3, 4. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. How good is he? A near supernatural goal from Lionel Messi. He has wriggled and tiptoed his way to the gates of Wembley Stadium. He best player in the world, bar none.
Whilst there's a lot of players out there content with 1-0, keeping the ball, keeping possession, every time he's had it in the last 10 to 15 minutes, he still wants more, he's looking for more.
Lionel Messi! Oh my goodness! Lionel Messi does it again, he's superhuman! Jordi Alba cuts it back and then what's this from Messi? What a finish! That's his 47th goal of the season, Rob, and he is the best. He's the best there is, he's the best that ever has been, possibly the best there ever will be. As those Real Madrid defenders that were left in his trail there, he has taken Barcelona level with Real Madrid at the top of the table in an instant of magic.
Esta para Messi, 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 immens Messi, encara 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 Messi, gol, 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 increïble, increïble, no m'ho puc imaginar, no m'ho podia imaginar, no ho he vist mai això, no ho he vist mai, increïble, quina jugada, increïble, quina jugada.
Oh, right. Do you know what? I don't know what happened there. Apologies, but it went back to the beginning. But we all can see there what happens in that final. But what's your thoughts, Emerson, on when you look at it? Do you always look at the defenders and go, well, that goal of Bilbao, I think, in the Copa del Rey final? It's a lot.
No, not really. I look at it as the genius of his dribbling ability. Many people can dribble like him. Especially at the professional game where he makes it look so easy. You know, when you're at school, you see that sort of stuff at school. when people used to take people on in a playground and on the school field, and even on Sunday people. But at a professional level against top quality defenders or players, it speaks volumes in itself, and it just shows you how quality of a player is.
Yeah, it does. Rivo, how much comparisons do you make Messi to Maradona? There's a goal against I think Getafe early on in his career.
Yeah.
Very similar to Maradona's goal in '86.
Very similar, yeah. Maradona was probably my era, and for me was the best player. But seeing this guy now, and I've had the luxury of seeing Messi play live in the Champions League against Spurs at Wembley, and I've just made some notes here. If I was in Emerson's position, how would you go about stopping him? What would your chat be before the game? People have tried everything. You go man to man. Do you stop the supply into him, so stop the source? Do you get in tight, or he'll just roll you? He only needs a yard of space. Do you double up on him? In one of the clips, there's three players on him. People have tried kicking him, and he just gets up and brushes himself off. I think we're living in a time where we've got two, and it was mentioned in commentary, superhuman footballers. And I think we need to embrace it, because this is, whether this comes round again in another era, I don't know.
It is interesting that. I think sometimes you don't know what you've got until it's gone. So I think you'll definitely agree with that. So go on.
I read, I watched something earlier because someone told me about, and basically mathematicians have put it together, and Messi is a once-in-a-lifetime footballer. Statistically, coming out of Argentina, and they've made a lifetime of 74 years. He is a once-in-a-lifetime footballer.
Yeah.
So we are very lucky.
I think what makes him so special is his size. I think not rally, but I think if you were playing in another country, say England, for example, would he have made it through the academy system? You know what I mean? Because if you actually look at him, he doesn't really use his right foot as often as so-called coaches tend to say. He does not blessed of height, but he can still, saw that goal against Man United in the Champions League. He can score with his head. And the fact that what Rose said a minute ago, where everybody's tried everything against him, whether you're trying to kick him, man mark him.
What do you do?
But more important than anything is his attitude. You never ever see him playing. You never see him flustered, just gets the ball and shows his ability with his feet. And that's a great credit to him.
Yeah. Elliot, grassroots coach like yourself.
Hello.
We're talking about that, what Emerson just said about the left foot. Coaches evolved anyway with try and work on your right. But I think River, we've had this conversation before where he was told make your left even better. Well, how would you deal with that if Messi was in your team?
What, if one player that's one-footed?
Yeah. You might have it now, I don't know. But...
Yeah, I've actually got. I'm coaching under-8s, obviously, and we've actually got a player who's got very similar style. He's left-footed. He's a very good dribbler. And he's quite small, but he's very good at protecting the ball and dribbling. And he's out of the team he's the favourite player to watch. Well, I think Messi's one of those players where if you were going to pick a footballer to watch, he's the one. And it was actually the last game before the lockdown. We played a team, and they were very direct. So I think we went 4-0 down, and I think it finished 5-3. But the moment of the game was him. He got the ball, and he beat 3 players and slotted it in. And to me, from the sideline, I'm like, we've lost the game 5-3. But to me, what he's just done, I'd rather my player do that than what they've done, if that makes sense, to win the game.
Especially that age.
It depends on the coach what your focus is. But to me, if a player can dribble with his left foot and beat 4 players and score, why does he need to use his right? Like, I'm not saying don't tell people to use both feet, because obviously, if you can, then do it. But why do they have to?
I think, as I say, take myself for example. I'm not saying the best way. I never use my left foot, and even when I played left back, I always tend to use my right foot anyway. I think if we're comparing Messi and Ronaldo, I think Ronaldo has become such a model a lot of coaches want to base their players on, whether it's the right, because if you look at Ronaldo, he can do right foot, left foot, header. He is the perfect model, and I think everybody tries and compare their players to that and try to put Ronaldo's stuff on their own players. Where Messi, a coach said to me, improve what you got. You can always work on your weaknesses, but if you make your ability, what you've got is, what your favourite doing, you can go far, and that's the biggest message, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of academies now, isn't there, that practice on super skills. So, when Messi was coming through, there actually was a coach that said, "I'm not sure he's going to make it because he can't use his right foot." Yeah. So that's where I think the Barcelona scout says, "Who cares when he's got a left foot like that? Who cares? So let's concentrate on making his left foot the best on the planet." And I think there is a bit of a misconception with it at times, and sometimes coaches get a bit too heads up, whether it's learnt behaviours, whether it's historical, whether it's their PE teachers used to tell them, but you've got to use your weaker foot, you've got to use your left foot in my case. But certainly I think we've got to sort of home in sometimes on those super skills.
Yeah. Rivo, I know you did a bit of background on Mr. Lionel Messi, but growth hormone deficiency?
I think he did have some growth hormone deficiency. Yeah, he's sort of grew to 5'7", I think he was. And it's funny Emerson saying about that his height, and he scored. You can correct me, Rich, but at least 21 headers. There might be more. But also, I grew up in that era where it would have been, and the scouts would have looked at someone and said, "You're too small." Also, they'd probably go and have a look at your dad to see how your potential for growth, and check dad's height. And also, if you look at the FA study on birth bias, and you look at the high percentage of professional players that are born like September, October, November time, there was a high percentage. And when I was sort of having sort of trials, Reading trials and things like that, the scouts would typically look at the bigger players. And my son's a July birthday, so 10 months, 11 months growth is huge at that age. It's massive. It's a massive difference. Not only in stature, but psychologically in that time, it's huge. So to come through that with hormone deficiency, and don't forget, when he went to Barcelona, he didn't talk much at all. He didn't talk because they thought that he had a condition, and he was just unable to talk. And then I think it was 2010 he captains his country, which is, another misconception about that you hear coaches screaming at the players that we don't talk enough. And I think sometimes we can hide behind that if you're not careful. I can't really see what's going on the pitch and how to change it, but history tells me if I tell them to talk more, that's a sign of me doing something to try and help the team. But it's interesting sort of diving into some of the sort of facts and figures, Sir Messi. Yeah.
Just touch on the talking point. I think sometimes we get sometimes, like, as a captain, I wasn't the most vocal captain, but if you was on the pitch, I will talk to you directly. I don't talk for the person to hear over there. Yeah. And I think sometimes you get lost in that moment where someone talking for the crowd or for the manager to hear, rather than the little information. You look at Messi, I don't think he's don't get me wrong, I don't think he's very vocal, but what he says holds power. And if he says it to you directly, that means more than him shouting and screaming it so everybody else can hear.
It's not just that, his actions speak 1,000 words.
Right.
So, it's leading by example as well, isn't it?
Yeah. 100%.
But you got him, Luka Modric, players like that. But, I was always taught clear, concise information. You haven't got to be talking all the time like a John Terry, but it's got to be clear, concise, left shoulder, right shoulder, turn time, man on. Those in the right place, I think, work rather than someone barking all the time.
Yeah.
Right, we'll move on to Mr. Ronaldo now. So just bear with me 1 second. There we go. Should be able to hopefully see my screen. Slightly older than Messi, just turned 35, I think, earlier this year. Not a bad record again. 91 goals shy of 100, which is incredible. and obviously if it wasn't for the virus, he probably would have got it in the March's international break. So, but again, 4 Champions Leagues. We did say about the Ballon d'Or, but Messi has got 1 more than Ronaldo there, but it's not bad to have 5, is it? And obviously, again, just we're going to compare later, but the comparison of international level, he's obviously in the recent years guided captains his team to some 2 titles there. Emerson, I'm not putting you under pressure here, but what was it like to captain your country?
No, it's a massive honour to captain your country. Obviously, it's not my place of birth, but it's where my parents are from and my family are from. So to hear the national anthem of any country, and especially the one you're captaining, it's a massive privilege and a massive pride for yourself as well as your family. And you've got the whole nation basically on your shoulders. So it comes with great responsibility, but something that you look back on your career and you love and enjoy.
Totally, mate. Totally. Elliot, I know I spoke to you before. You're a bit of a Ronaldo fan.
I am, yeah. I've always warmed to him ever since he came. Even when he was at Man United, I've always liked his style.
Okay.
I don't know what it was. I've just always. I think I said it earlier about I see Messi as an artist. So if you're going to watch a footballer, you'd want to watch Messi like all day, like the video you show. You watch that all day. Whereas I see Ronaldo, he's just like a problem solver. So.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what you put in front of him. It may not be nice to watch, but he will find a way of finding a solution, if that makes sense. Whereas Messi is just the best at what he does, and 9 times out of 10 it works, and it's great to watch.
What position do you play, Elliot? I know you still play.
I'm more of like an attacking midfielder, so just behind the striker. But yeah, I've always admired him.
Jay, I know you was in the Ronaldo camp before this.
Yeah.
Did he know much about him about sporting, or was it more at Man United when he started coming through for you personally?
Yeah, I didn't know much about him before, but obviously as soon as he come to the Premier League, there was kind of a different feel about the Premier League. There was this kind of aura around Ronaldo and around Manchester United. Being a Chelsea fan, it was hard to swallow, but to watch him, it was just magical, really.
Yeah, it took a while to settle in.
It did.
Because Beck's left, obviously, that 2003, and then Ronaldo came in, wore the 7 shirt as well after Beck's, and then Cantona before them. It's a lot of pressure, probably. New country, different language. So, what we'll do is, hopefully technology will allow, just watch a little video about Ronaldo again so we can remind ourselves of what he's done.
Ronaldo to think about it. Oh! Absolutely sensational! He went through Junior, beat for pace. And Manchester United have scored twice in a little more than 10 minutes here. And Cristiano Ronaldo.
Fantastic strike. But I think he should be dealing with that. I think he should be running across and timing that around the post. Take nothing away from Ronaldo. We know he can strike him. Probably the best in the world at it. I did.
Great cross, header, goal! Cristiano Ronaldo! A magnificent header! Real Madrid with a breakthrough! A big goal that could turn out to be! No chance of Pinto! It was glorious! What a beautiful ball. Now it's Cristiano Ronaldo with a chance maybe to seal it, and he has taken it. They're one step closer to Brazil, thanks to Cristiano Ronaldo. It's a fabulous forward ball, but as soon as Ronaldo takes his first touching, you pretty much know what is going to happen blocking the road. But now it's Ronaldo who can break again, and can kill the Swedish dream. He has done surely.
But when he's around, you've always got a chance. 2 goals they need, but it's a chance for Ronaldo again. Hat-trick. He has written his name all over this tie, and there is no doubt now he's paved their path to Rio.
It's absolutely incredible. His movement, his first touch, and his finishing tonight has just been extraordinary. The Swedish fans shaking their heads, the coach is shaking his head. He cannot believe.
Hugo Simeone's team prevail. Odds favour Atletico, and we're underway in Chile.
Oh, this is Champions League.
Cristiano Ronaldo is there yet again against Atletico Madrid.
Great cross, but what a brilliant great header from Ronaldo back post.
In the early stages of the second half, it's into Ronaldo! It's gone over the line and Juventus on level! Well, it's Cristiano Ronaldo again! Bernardeschi for Juventus. Here he goes, Bernardeschi! Inside the post. Referee has a look, it's a penalty. Ronaldo against Oblak. It's 3! It's the record-equaling Champions League 8th hat-trick of Cristiano Ronaldo's career. Juventus 3, Atletico Madrid 0, and it's turning into There goes the final whistle. The man of the moment, yet again, with another special ice-cold moment. Ziska. As Christian Ronaldo still on the legs. Look at him fly. He moves inside Ronaldo! Cristiano Ronaldo! He's in good shape. That's typical, absolutely brilliant. So the defense keeps on attacking Real Madrid in the blink of an eye. Ronaldo is still at the coast of Italy.
It was cut out by Carvajal and played in for Cristiano Ronaldo to score. And Real Madrid close. Ronaldo! They've done it in a hurry. Mountain to climb. They've hit the peak already. And it's Cristiano Ronaldo by himself. The man's a phenomenon. Cristiano Ronaldo. Beautiful. Something close to
Oh, a little fail with my computer.
Another hat-trick for the head of the Real Madrid glitter. It's Ronaldo. Oh, he's done it! He has only gone and done it! Cristiano Ronaldo! Free kick!
We'll pause it there just because my computer's literally crashed. Hopefully you can see yourselves because I can't see anybody.
Yeah.
Here we go. I can see you now. Not bad goals there. You were happy to know Emerson hasn't got any goals against Wigan there.
Right back then, towards the pitch. That's my excuse.
So you obviously come up against Ronaldo, Emerson. Like, did you play right back when he was on the left side, or were you at centre back?
I mainly played right back. He played on the left side, but kept switching wings. And then later in his Man United career, I think he played centre forward, and I came against him when I played centre back. But as I say, you know, the thing that strikes you most about him is his attitude and his confidence. Yes, people call him arrogant, etc., but he's a born winner, you know, and his determination. He expects a certain standard from his teammate. from his teammates. And when he first come along, he was much of a dribbler. But as he's got older and older, he's fine-tuned himself to be an actual goal machine. And that's it's literally a goal machine. And, as an ultimate professional, he's probably got to be one of the top, how he's carried himself out throughout his whole career.
The condition he's been throughout his career, he's not had many injuries. That's because he looks after himself. And not that, that's sometimes it's luck, but yeah. What was I going to say? When you did play against him, did you treat him any different to any other opponent you played? I know he's probably evolved even further since then, isn't he? But
yeah. Obviously, you knew he had ability. A lot of people were talking about him at the time. We knew he had a one of a right foot. Didn't give no free kicks anywhere near the box. And we see, some of his free kicks that he was done, in the Premier League, how good they are, and compared to, what he's done in different countries now. But the main thing about him was his dribbling ability and his determination, his strength, his pace, his power, and his eye for goal. So he didn't really speak too much on the pitch, but he had the winning mentality, and obviously that's carried him throughout his whole career.
Absolutely. Jay, has he got a weakness?
No. No. I just going back to the point of Emerson calling him a machine. I watched they done that scientific testing on him. Don't know if anyone else did that show. And they're saying that he jumps as high as a basketball player. If you look at the transformation from when he first arrived at Manchester United to sort of 4 or 5 years later, the complete physical change is ridiculous. And he is a machine.
There's a story about him when he was at Sporting Lisbon. He used to get teased for being skinny, so he used to try and sneak into the gym at night.
Wow.
He wasn't allowed in there. He used to try and sneak in at night to use the gym. So he's obviously had that mentality from a young age.
Yeah, driven.
Certainly, and as Steve says, Sir Alex Ferguson said it best. Ronaldo is the greatest player on the planet. The problem is Messi's from a different universe. That's his opinion of it, which is a good quote there. I'm talking about Ferguson. He lost his. Correct me if I'm wrong, by the way. He lost his father, I think, when he just started at United, maybe a year or two. And I think Ferguson sort of took that upon himself to become that father figure. Elliot, have you heard that as well?
Yeah, and that's the side that people don't really get to hear. You know what I mean? Especially they see a footballer and just assume that's his platform, nothing's invincible, and that's him. But the mental toughness he had to go through, losing his father and having to come to a new country, having to perform at a highest level, and with all the pressure that's on him, he's still performing, still going now. So, he's got to take great credit. But that's the other side of football that people don't get to see: the mental side of it, the emotional side of it, and the out of football side of it.
Definitely. River, you're a United fan. I know you don't like to brag nowadays.
Yeah.
What was he like? Do you get to watch him much?
I saw him a couple of times. I saw him play against Reading, and Man United used to sort of deploy him probably in the early stages anyway, mainly as a wide player. But he wasn't that effective. I think he did score that day, but he was sort of in and out of the game. He'd come right out to the touchline, and it would make it difficult. But he wasn't involved all the time. But yeah, I think as soon as he went to Old Trafford, if you look back at some of the older players, Cantona, Beckham, they would spend endless amounts of time after training, practicing and honing their craft. And that's what he's done. It's no coincidence. It's not anything to do with luck that he gets a free kick anywhere around the edge of the box, and to some players it's like a penalty. You see his teammates almost cheer when they get a free kick because the conversion rate's so high. He's a phenomenal player. I think what was it, 56 hat tricks, something like that. I think I don't know if I scored a hat trick Sunday League. 56 hat tricks.
As we know, Rivo, Emerson scored 70-odd goals in one season, didn't you, Emerson?
I sure did.
How many hat tricks did you get that year?
About as many as Ronaldo.
But it's just he jumps 8 foot 8'7". It's just ridiculous. Yeah, he's an incredible specimen, and actually probably more marketable than Messi. Just if you look at the figures all around the world and the endorsements and what they're worth, he probably edges that. And on the stats, I think it was 92% of people knew of Ronaldo and 87% knew of Messi. Messi, the only two countries that Messi edged it were China and his native Argentina.
Wow.
So that's just the other side of it, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm doing this course at the moment, and they were saying about the endorsements. Ronaldo overshadows Messi on endorsements.
Yeah.
He is a marketable guy. You know, Messi's.
Yeah.
If you look at Messi, he's a bit more humble, he's a bit more quiet, reserved.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't fit the profile that sponsors or whatever fits. Where Ronaldo, you know, obviously his height, he's got his looks, you know, and he's a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
You know? But the biggest thing about his goals are he's a big game player. You know, he's all right scoring hat tricks against the so-called lower teams, etc., etc. But when it counts, he performs. It's the same as Messi, but
Yeah.
when they're top players, when the big games come along and they come in like their A game.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Just as hopefully you can all see that there's just a comparison against the two, just for their club goals over the last 12 or 13 seasons. It's just sometimes you have to sit back. It's just phenomenal. The numbers are just incredible. Right, 2014-15 season, and then obviously 2011-12 season as well. The stats, I think it was 73 goals, Elliot, was it, in that 2011-12 season? That's
ridiculous.
That is just,
and it's not
silly.
It's not against amateurs. It's against like some of the best players in the world.
What's again, we're going to start talking about comparing now, because we do need to try and get to a decision at the end. But like, what would Ronaldo edge it in terms of as a general goal scorer because of he's done it across a few of the different leagues in different countries? Would you say, Jay, or would you? Yeah, in your opinion.
I would. Just the fact that Messi can only be compared to sort of within Spain. And if you look at the times where both Messi and Ronaldo were in the same period of time in Spain, correct me if I've got my facts wrong, but Ronaldo had a sort of a goal involvement ratio of 1.03 goals per game, and Messi was 1.01. Don't get me wrong, there's barely anything in it at all. But he's still above Messi. Bear in mind, Messi has been tailored for that Spanish league. From the minute he played in Barca B, Pep Guardiola was sort of prepping his team for when Messi come into it, and he was told to do that. Whereas Ronaldo's had to go and kind of fit himself in. Don't get me wrong, I know teams would work themselves around Ronaldo with his talent, but he still had to go into a different country and go and play against those different players each time, different competitions, different environments.
Yeah, and if you look at the stats lower down, obviously in 07-08, I think Ronaldo left in 08-09 after the 08-09 season. The Premier League went to La Liga. That's when they started obviously competing. But the stats obviously, is the Spanish league easier to score in? I don't know. That's the question probably we don't know at the moment. But
I would say it's probably better to compare the stats in the Champions League. That's how I always, because then it's a direct comparison.
Well, Elliot, you didn't even know I was going to compare the stats to the Champions League, but you are right. Because when this page, there you go. Yeah. That's the Champions League.
There's another twist. I like to put a spin on it because you can say Ronaldo's been to different countries, which, ultimately that's the argument is. But does that mean that Barcelona cannot? Well, there's no price for Messi regarding Barcelona, but there's always a price for Ronaldo.
I personally think that I've been reading a book recently about the Barca Academy, and it's like a way of life. And I just think that Messi and Barca, they just go hand in hand. So I just think that he is the perfect player for them, and vice versa. And I think, I'm not saying if you take him out, he wouldn't be as good, but the way I look at it is this: if a game's not going well, let's just say the Liverpool game last year when it was 4-0 and it just wasn't happening for Messi or Barca. Who would you rather have in your team in those moments? And that's how who's going to come up when there's, because I would put my house on it in that game. If that was Real Madrid, even if Ronaldo had barely touched the ball, he'd have found a way to get that goal, which would have killed the tie.
Agreed.
And that's how I always think of Ronaldo.
Yeah, debatable. Good argument.
He's the perfect player when things are going.
That Real Madrid and Juventus have lost in it, so it's a debate that's up there. It's hard to come. So.
It's a good point, and we reviewed that game a few weeks ago, Elliot, and Messi actually had a decent game. So, like, from my opinion anyway, like everything went through him that was decent. So, yeah, maybe if you had both of them in there, maybe they had a chance to win.
I think no matter what, Ronaldo will always guarantee. Well, not always guarantee, but whether the team loses or win, he's more or less guaranteed to score a goal.
Yeah, that's how I think. If Ronaldo could go a whole game, I think Mark just said it against Reading. He'll stand there for half an hour and not touch the ball, and then a ball will come in and he'll just pounce on it and head it, and then he'll score out of nothing. And that's
Just looking at the Champions League stats there in front of us, again, phenomenal. 128 Ronaldo, 114 Messi. It's just, and obviously Real Madrid won it 3 times back to back, which had never been done before in its Champions League status anyway. It's that is the top level, Elliot, as you said a moment ago, like comparing them at that level. I know it's not always about the goals anyway, but the success that they both had, four Champions Leagues each, I think. Yeah. It's incredible. Jay, do you see the Champions League as a pinnacle competition in the world, and that these two, there will never be, it's hard to say, but there will never be a Messi. You said there's a Messi or Ronaldo every 75 years earlier.
Yeah, so that was only, it was Amazon Prime, This Is Football, episode 6, and it's basically all about Messi. And there was a mathematician working out stats and stuff, and basically just said that he's a once in a lifetime, so once every 74 years approximately you'll get a Messi. That's only based on Argentina. But no, I don't think Champions League is the pinnacle. I think international football is the pinnacle. Obviously, the footballers involved might tell me different, but I believe that the international stage is the biggest stage in the world.
Literally haven't rehearsed this, but look what's next. International goal.
It was bound to come up, weren't it? And and talking about, and just going back to the point about a big game player, I can't remember who mentioned it, but looking at the goals, and I've included goals and assists in this, internationally for Messi, friendlies and competitive games, 0.81 he's involved in a goal, every 0.181 games, sorry. When it goes to just competitive, it drops to 0.7, whereas Ronaldo is on the reverse of that. Can't even see where it is now, but 0.77 in all competitions and friendlies, and he boosts his to 0.88 per game in competitive football. That says to me that he's a big game player and he's a big competition player.
For me, the problem that Messi has with Argentina is there's too many other big egos there. There's too many big characters who you think they're the main players that's there. Where if you look at the Portugal team, it's built around Ronaldo. You look at the Real Madrid team to a extent, they've got big players, but Ronaldo's still the main focus. You go to Argentina now, you go through, I don't know, there's names of Argentina players that Messi played with, and they'll be looking, saying they're the main people. And I think that's where his problem is. And we go back to the Barcelona Academy, where Barcelona is basically fine-tuned to go through Messi. So when they go to international, everybody else wants the ball and not looking for Messi. And I think that's the biggest problem that Messi has at international level and why he hasn't produced.
It's a really great shout, to be fair. Yeah, you think like Aguero at the moment is obviously not a bad player, is he? So they're vying for that. Whereas I don't think Portugal have had a decent number 9 for years. So he sort of takes the centre show and I suppose gets that, as you say, Emerson. Everything goes through him.
What does that tell you about Ronaldo? The fact that he's had pretty much an average Portugal side, and he's managed to obviously pop up in the big games when needed, and he's taken them to two trophies. You can say he has led him to him, and I know there's obviously lots of different variables to take into account, but he has literally led them to those two titles.
Yeah. Interesting though, because he got injured in the final.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah, true.
But again, I think then if you put on paper, Argentina on paper should be the best team. Well, one of the best teams in the world, should be winning far more than it should. It goes to show that no matter how many good players you got, if they don't work as a team, they won't win nothing. And I think with Portugal, they're our actual team, and Ronaldo is the pinnacle of the team. But Portugal's more based on a team than Argentina is. That's my view, anyway.
Well, yeah, recent success proves that, I suppose, Emerson. River, you in the Messi corner. I know you are.
Messi corner, yeah.
Come on, let's hear it.
It is a difficult one, as I said before. You know, we're living in a time where we've got two absolute mavericks that are playing football. But for me, it's just everything. I look at it very similar to you guys. If I'm in a changing room, and we're getting beat 1-0, and I'm looking around, I would love to have Messi there as a sub about to come on for my team. Just because of the areas that he plays in, the role that he plays in, the little pockets of space that he pops into. And I just think it gives, they both do, but not only what they can do, but look at the other 10 players when one of those pops up on the pitch. What it does for you, what it will do for you, and it makes you lift your game. But the difference for me is like I said at the start, is his attitude, his mentality, the temperament, just the persona, the way that he carries himself. For me, just edges it.
Who's you got a Marley's 12 now, is he, River, your son?
Marley's 12, yeah.
Well, who's his favourite player?
I think is Ronaldo.
Good lad.
Yeah, just Ronaldo. Whether that is because he's but whether that is because he's more marketable and he's I was just looking at their social media. What's on my notes there? I think Ronaldo, Facebook followers. I don't do Facebook, but 110 million to Messi's 75 or something like that.
3.4 million Instagram followers.
Yeah, and he just does a little bit more on there. Whether that appeals to my son a little bit more, I don't know. But I think my son would be in the Ronaldo camp. Well, do you know what? There might be a little bit of me basing it on the 2 live games that I saw as well, which is probably not a fair reflection. But seeing Ronaldo not involved, and I do appreciate that he only needs a second and bang, it's a goal. But versus Messi, who I saw in that Champions League game against Tottenham, who was just unplayable. And I saw the opposition. I saw Spurs try a whole range of different things to stop him, and they just couldn't get near him. And it was a joke. I looked at my wife, and we just both started laughing at each other, but almost pinching ourselves that we were fortunate to see someone of that level live.
Elliot, thoughts from you?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with Mark. It does hit you differently when you see them live.
Yeah,
Obviously, I'm a Chelsea fan. When people say to me Hazard's overrated, I'm like, I've seen him when I went to watch him against Tottenham. When you watch them live, it does take it to another level because you appreciate it more. And like Mark said, when you're watching it on TV, it sort of shows you the ball. When you're watching a game, you see how it opens up, and almost the whole stadium. When they do something, and the whole stadium also almost lifts. Because they've done something, you've gone wow. So I think I said it earlier. I think Messi, if you want to watch a player, you'd watch Messi. So if you want to watch an hour's video, you'd watch Messi.
Interesting point.
But if you wanted someone to take, I think Simeone said it. If you were taking someone to war to win a fight and just get it done, you would take Ronaldo, and that's kind of how I view it. So I think it just depends on how you're looking at it. Are you looking at somebody that's going to get the job done quickly and just do it? Not necessarily do it it might not look pretty, but Messi's that one where he just has them wow moments where you're like, wow, what has he just done? I think there's a touch he did against Atletico where the ball just came down and he nutmegged Luis, and you just stand there and go, wow.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with what you're saying
about. But that was the point at Wembley, and I was sat in with the Spurs fans, but the Spurs fans were almost quietly clapping and applauding what he was doing. It was just ridiculous.
Liam says Messi would lift the team, Ronaldo would drag them though. Drag them through. Sorry, I'll say it again. Messi would lift the team, Ronaldo would drag them through. Is his say on there? Would you compare? Jay, I know you're a keen sports person, as in various sports. Messi and Ronaldo, Nadal, Federer, Prost, Senna going probably a bit before your time. Like we'll look back on these years come and just we really say we're blessed anyway to have these, but it's just
Well, they're two gods of the game, and I think they'll go down in history forevermore in the same way Pele and Maradona have. We're lucky to have them both in this same generation, and arguably two of the best that have ever lived. That's my opinion, and it is hard to decide, but seeing as it is a debate, I have picked a side. So, and that's kind of why I will make arguments for Ronaldo. But either way, it doesn't matter what way you kind of lean. It's just they're unbelievable players to watch.
Yeah. Asif says, I've always thought that everything Messi does is for a purpose. However, Ronaldo can showboat, especially early years, and do unnecessary stuff. We're going to go to a little vote in a minute, but before we do, Emerson, in your Wigan days, you were allowed to pick one of these players to fit into your team. Who would you have picked?
I'll pick Ronaldo just purely because of my own experience against him. I know how good of a player he is, and I think he's changed so much over the younger days where he was a showboat and where he was all about tricks and flashy stuff. And then as he's matured to get older, he is very direct that he gets that ball, he just wants to score a goal. And I think that's what's made him so deadly in terms of how he goes about his game, where it is about scoring goals for him. And I know people criticise him sometimes for not being a team player. But as you said, you give him the ball, he's guaranteed to get you more or less guaranteed to get you a goal. Whether the team win or lose, that's another question. But he's always guaranteed to get you a goal.
I just see his driving standards when he's like having a go at players. Or so. He's just driving standards, and then people say he's not a team player, and then you see the speeches that he gives in the dressing room. They're phenomenal, and they're so motivational for his team. It's not for him; it's for his team.
Well, it depends how you look at it. If he wants the ball, then he's gonna hammer the player saying, "Pass me the ball." So it depends on how he's motivating the player. And don't get me wrong, he's a leader. Portugal's won it. Real Madrid's won titles. So he's a born leader.
Yeah.
But as I say, look at Messi as a team. You more say Messi's more of a team player in terms of getting everybody else involved. That's the Barcelona way. And then Ronaldo is very much so. He's determined to get his goal, which ultimately wins the game.
It is that time though where I'm just going to ask you and pick on the spot, but I want the few people in attendance. If you just write in your comment Ronaldo or Messi, just be interested to see the total. But we'll start off with Elliot. Ronaldo or Messi?
Yeah, I'm going.
I know you answer.
I'm Ronaldo. Yeah. Always Ronaldo.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, you appreciate Messi, as we all do, and both.
I think Messi's the one that you would encourage kids to maybe copy at a young age because he's doing the things you want them to do at a young age. You wouldn't tell them to necessarily be a Ronaldo and just try and score.
Yeah.
But maybe when they get to 20, you want them to be have that killer instinct. But yeah, I'm Team Ronaldo.
Team Ronaldo. Rivo?
Do you know what? It's a good thing about this debate that I came in here today thinking, yeah, Messi, 100%. But some people have put some great arguments across, and it's just got me thinking. And I'm still sticking with Messi, but I could have been really stubborn and just dismissed everything. But there's been some great arguments and analogies that have been put forward. And the one thing that just sticks is my Achilles heel with him really is the fact that I would love to have seen a Messi in the Premier League. Play his trade in the Premier League with the pace of the Premier League and how much Emerson will tell you how in your face it is and the tempo of it, but obviously I don't think that's going to happen. But just it's all the other stuff that I like. It's all the other stuff, especially as a coach, when you're asking your son or your players that you coach to look at someone. I just think all of those things that I've mentioned in terms of attitude and temperament, mentality, getting kicked in, getting up and dusting himself off, I think they just edge it for me.
Thank you. Jay, still Ronaldo?
As I said, Ronaldo, but I've got a lot of respect for Messi. The fact he left everything behind at the age of 12 to fly out to Barcelona to pursue a career. And another thing, is his mentality from where he comes from. The background is explore and invent without pressure. That's their ethos. And I love that. Absolutely love that. But as I say, Ronaldo, the athlete. I'm going with the athlete. The driven athlete.
Wicked. Thank you. Emerson?
I've always been a Messi fan, and I say when I look at the stats today, so this debate has changed my mind from Messi to Ronaldo.
I love it.
Because when you start looking at this, actually taking note of the two players, Messi was always a team player for me, and you always think about team. But when you actually look at the ruthlessness and you think Ronaldo, give him the ball, he'll score you a goal. Big games, he scores goals. Champions League final, he scores goals. And ultimately, with Portugal, he scores goals as well. So all around, he's a goal machine. And ultimately, I want him on my team, just give him the ball and he'll guarantee to get a goal. I'll change my mind.
I love it.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Liam says, I want my kids to be like Ronaldo in terms of work rate and work ethic. You can see the graft he puts in to be the best, whereas it seems more natural for Messi, which is another great suggestion. Look, I don't want to take any more else's time up. Thanks for those who have joined us. Messi wins 4-2. Asif went Messi, Ronaldo went Liam. So well done, Ronaldo. Those who said Ronaldo, you win nothing but an argument. But no, it was been really good the last hour, and obviously it's been recorded, so I'm sure lots of people will access it after. A special thank you to Emerson for joining us today as well.
Cheers.
Good to see you again, mate. What was my vote, Asif is asked. I would say, oh, no, you put me right on the spot. I would have said Messi.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh.
And I've changed my mind halfway through this as well.
You wait for the vote.
Yeah, I was going to have the deciding vote if it was even. I was going to decide it. But Messi for me, I think you said it earlier. He's better to watch, Elliot. I think
He's the one you want to watch. Yeah.
But hey, we're very lucky as we've said. But yeah, thank you again to all Jay, Elliot, Rivo, and Emerson. Thanks to the
guys. Enjoyed that.
And we're back next week with Invincibles, Arsenal. Are they a better team than Man United treble winners 99?
Oh.
So yeah, we'll speak soon. Oh. Well, if you join us next week, Emerson, you might be saying Man United after.
Arsenal fans, so I have to be.
But look after yourselves, everyone, and we'll speak to you really soon.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Take care.
Enjoyed it. Cheers.